Hi and welcome to Fly Tying Step by Step. Today we will be tying a trout fly. It can also be changed a little bit for largemouth yellows and other predatory fish. The hook I'm using is a Teamco in a size 6, and if you want to tie it for a largemouth yellowfish or barbel, I would go with a B10S in a size 6, and for barbel even up to a size 4. So very simple fly to tie, but I believe a very effective fly. So to start off, I have put on in my vise the Teamco hook. I'm using lead to weight it in a 0.025 diameter, and then I'm just going to take black thread and just secure that to the shank of the hook. Just a few wraps, and then we can trim the tag and then advance to the bend of the hook. I'm using my Norvise with the rotary function, which is just superb for this kind of fly tying style. Then for the tail, I'm going to use some olive marabou. So the length is about 1/2 to 3/4 the shank of the hook, and you can make it as sparse or as bulky as you prefer. I'm not very particular about that. Depends what kind of water you'll be fishing. If it's a little bit murkier, I'll go for a little bit more baggy fly just to create more movement and push a little bit more water. If it's clearer water, I will stay with a sparser design. So just pull off a clump of fibers, trim the tag ends, and then what I do is I will take my thumb and forefinger and just pinch with my one hand, and with my other hand use my nail just to pull off the fluff of the stem. I will show you now what it does. You can use those the fluff that you pull off as dabbing as well, but there you can see you've got a basically mostly bare stems, and that creates a better platform for you to tie in. It's not that bulky, and also it doesn't slip around the shank of the hook that easily. So I'm just going to secure that. You will see that the tail is a little bit long, and I'll just pinch that off. So it's roughly 3/4, maybe the length of the shank of the hook, but it's not that specific. Okay, then for ribbing we are going to use some fine copper wire. I'll just secure that as well. And then I'm going to create a dubbing loop. So I'll take my thread, put my finger in it, and just create a loop. I hope you can see that. I'm just going to secure that right at the base of my tail. I'm not using any flash in the tail, but I am going to use a dubbing for the body that has a bit of flash in it. So my dubbing mix is a mixture of olive, crystal flash, and a little bit of rabbit's fur as well. So after I've done my dubbing loop, I've just put it in my thread holder of my vise, and now I will just dab a noodle onto my thread. You don't want it bulky, just a thin noodle, And I'm just going to, all I want to do is I want to cover my hook shank and the lead wire. That's all I want to do. We are going to use two other materials. We are going to use some squirrel zonker in a dark olive, and I'm going to use zonker in a light olive made from rabbit's fur. So there's two materials. So what you want to do, if I can just zoom out a bit, so if I can show you what I do, I'll take my clip and I will just take, if your hook shank is 2 centimeters long, you want about 1.5 to 2 centimeters per material. So your light olive hares or rabbit fur zonker will be roughly 1.5 to 2 times the shank of your hook, and your squirrel will also be 1.5 to 2 times. Because you're going to palmer it, it shortens it. So you can measure it like that and say, okay, that's my length that I need. So all I'm doing, I've clipped it in my clip, and I've just cut the fur part off. I'm going to put that one aside, and then I'm going to do the same with my squirrel. So there's my zonker, my squirrel zonker. So what you do now is you take your dubbing loop that you've created, and you first insert your rabbit. So what I prefer to do is just take a little bit of wax, because we are going to open the thread to put in the second material, namely the squirrel. You don't want your rabbit to fall out. So I'm going to insert that. You can use your spin tool as well, just to keep tension on your thread. So there's my first material, and now I'm going to just distribute it so that it's not all clumped up in one space. Now, this is important. If you don't do this and you start spinning your thread, you get a clump of material that just sits there, and you don't get them spun in properly. So what will happen is you will have places where your thread has proper tension on the material, and other places where your materials will just slip out. See, like that came out. So it's not a crisis. I'll just move my material up. It's a little bit time consuming, but the effect is worth the while. I try to grip my material as close to the tips as possible. I'll try to show you now. Then I'm going to add my second material, which is my squirrel zonker, like so, and I'm going to do exactly the same with it. With that done, we can now spin the material. So you want to keep tension on it, and then just spin it up. What you can do to keep your tail out of the way, just with your fingers and just pull back on those fibers. Okay, so that is your dabbing loop. Now what I'll do is I will pull all these fibers to one side, just like you would do a hackle. I'll just pull them all to one side. You can moisten them as well, just to keep them all under control. And now what I will do is I will just palmer this like a hackle around the shank of my hook. If your fibers tend to fall to the front, just stroke them back so that you create space for yourself in the front. That's too much to the back, and I'll just, I want to create a body with a third of the body basically is the darker olive in the front of the fly. I'm just going to push back on this just to compress it a bit so that it pushes against the lead wire, and that will force the fibers to stand at a 90-degree angle to the shank. We can trim that away. So I secured my dabbing loop with my thread. And now you will see the fibers are all standing like that. I'm just going to take my toothbrush and just comb them out, because I want to run my wire through there as well. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few wraps just to secure that dabbing loop, another half inch, and then I can take my thread out of the way. Just want to get this wire out, and then I will just work my wire through. Not too close wraps. It's just to secure the dabbing loop and also strengthen the fly. If you're going to use it for trout or other predatory fish with teeth, you don't want your fly to fall apart after 2 or 3 fish. Okay, with that done, we can secure our wire. 2 or 3 wraps should be adequate. And now I'm just going to do a few over it again, and then I'm just helicoptering my wire off. I don't like using scissors to do that. So now I'll take a piece of Velcro and I'll just brush the fly out so that any trapped fibers underneath the wire. Now I'm just going to clean up the head. Cover my copper wire so that it doesn't show in the front, and whip finish once or twice with a 3 to 5 turn whip finish. You can add some head cement just to make sure that it's secured, but in essence that is the fly. Very simple to tie. The most difficult part, I will say, is the dubbing rush. That can be a little bit of a trick sometimes. This fly looks totally different if you wet it. It pulsates like nothing else I've seen, and very nice profile. Thank you for watching Fly Tying Step by Step. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel if you found this video to be informative. Also like our Facebook page and visit our other videos to see what we've been up to. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your fly tying and your fly fishing. Bye.